Good afternoon, distinguished guests, speakers, industrial partners, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of ASTRI, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to today's seminar, Smart Risk Control Strategies, Fraud Detection and Prevention in Finance, which forms part of our AI Empowerment Enhancing Industry Capabilities seminar series. I would particularly like to extend my sincere appreciation to our distinguished keynote speakers and panelists from the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, the EMPF Platform Company, DBS Bank Hong Kong, Deloitte China, and ASTRI for sharing their valuable insights and experiences with us today. We are living in an era where digital transformation is reshaping the financial services landscape at an unprecedented pace. While innovation is creating new opportunities and deliver greater convenience for business and consumers alike, it's also introduced increasingly sophisticated risk. Financial fraud has evolved rapidly, leveraging advanced technologies, automation, and more recently, artificial intelligence. At the same time, AI is becoming one of our most powerful tools in combating these threats. From real-time transaction monitoring and behavior analytics to predictive risk assessment and automated investigation, AI is helping financial institutions enhance their ability to detect, prevent, and respond to fraud more effectively than ever before. As Hong Kong continues to strengthen the position as a leading international financial center and innovation hub, building a secure, trust and resilient digital financial ecosystem is more important than ever. Achieving this goal requires collaboration across the entire ecosystem, including regulators, financial institutions, technology providers, academia, and the broader community. At ASTRI, we are committed to advancing research and development in AI plus and financial technologies, and to bridging innovation for industrial adoption. We believe that technology alone is not enough. Success depends on how we combine innovation, governance, talent, and collaboration to address emerging challenges and create sustainable value for society. Today's seminar provides an excellent platform for exchanging ideas and exploring how AI and other emerging technologies can help strengthening fraud detection, fraud prevention, enhance risk management, and support the future development of financial sector. I hope this seminar provides valuable insight into the latest developments in fraud prevention and risk management, and inspire new ideas on how AI can help shape a more secure and resilient financial ecosystems. Thank you once again for joining us today. I wish you all a productive and insightful afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And yeah, maybe we get off that photograph of myself fairly quickly. You can go on to slide 1. That would be great. First of all, just to say good afternoon and thank ASTRI for the invitation, for speaking here today, and in particular to Dr. Soon for extending this invitation to the Monetary Authority. I think what we're talking about this afternoon, when we're talking, if we just go on to the first slide, thanks. Great, thank you. So talking about fraud, talking about artificial intelligence, talking about how we can work in partnership with organisations like ASTRI to advance what are common objectives. And I'm not going to repeat what Dr. Soon put so well there in terms of the overall objectives. And I only have 15 minutes, and I think I can share perhaps one or two perspectives that maybe unique to my own particular background, having served with the Hong Kong Police for 17 years, and then being with the Monetary Authority for about the past 15 or 16 years. So I've had quite a long track record, if you like, working in this area. And I think I haven't seen anything such as the unprecedented rise in scams in that time. And it's deeply worrying for a number of reasons. not least of which is the fact that fraud today reaches out and touches individuals and victims in a way that crime and financial crime never did until quite recently. When I started this work, our anti-financial crime controls, our anti-money laundering controls were largely devised around a world where we went after organized crime, the proceeds of drug trafficking, and you know, all of those types of serious organized crimes. That's changed significantly in respect of how fraud now operates, and the proliferation of fraud that we've seen. Looking at the table to the top left-hand side, your top left-hand side of that, of deception cases in Hong Kong. Now, I won't spend long on here because I know that we're going to have some further input on data later in the speakers. But I think one of the interesting things here is the proliferation, the significant rise in cases post-COVID. We know we moved online. I think it's something now 50 to 60% of all bank accounts opened in Hong Kong are opened remotely, and that's brought tremendous benefits to Hong Kong. And we have to talk, as well as talking about technology as an enabler, we clearly have to talk about all the benefits as well. And technology has brought tremendous benefits in terms of speed, efficiency, lowering the cost of payments, of cross-border fund movements, and inclusion. And all of these things we want, and Hong Kong needs as a global financial center to be on the front foot with. But at the same time, we need to protect the security and safety of our system, and fraud challenges it in a way that we've really never seen before. Now, the other thing that I would talk to on the slide here is that although last year, between 2024 and 2025, we saw a drop in the overall losses, if you look up there, of about 1 billion, if we slide across to the breakdown of those frauds, we saw a significant shift, which continues in the first half of 26, in terms of this rise in online investment scams, which really well illustrates the fast-moving and evolving nature of fraud syndicates in targeting what pays, what they can scale, and what they can do at lower cost. And that's what we've seen. The other aspect of that is when you look at online investment scams and you look at the personal impact. And I introduce the word victims here because I've had a long career looking and working with victims of crime. And I think we need to remember as we move through the afternoon, what we're doing here is we're trying to achieve better outcomes for victims. And that's a really important concept, because what we've done is we're coming from a compliance regulatory mindset of international standards on anti-financial crime to a place in the last few years where, driven by technology and data, the focus is on how do we prioritize, how do we innovate, how do we focus on outcomes and effectives and things which deliver value within the system rather than just ticking a regulatory box. And we as the regulator play a key role in that, in an enabling function. Now, if you look to the bottom of the slide, we think, and working with the industry, that we are making some headway. We're certainly not saying that we've turned the corner, but we are saying that in the areas where we've applied those, where we've worked collaboratively, where we've applied technology, and where we've changed the way we work, we are seeing some improvements. So in terms of real-time fraud monitoring and upstream scam intervention there, we're seeing a significant rise in the number of interventions that banks are able to make, and technology is at the heart of this. And we talk about artificial intelligence as we go through the deck. And then we have 24/7 stop payment mechanism. This really goes to the heart of what we're trying to do in fraud, and we're trying to use data and technology to make better, quicker interventions. When we talk about outcomes in fraud, we talk about being able to restrain funds, be able to return funds to victims and stop that harm. So all of these systems together, including information sharing, are things which we have developed in terms of the response. And if we move on to the second slide, I'll give a brief overview of how the response and the change in the ecosystem is driving some of that. So slide 2, please. So these are all terms which have evolved as in the last few years as we have tried to innovate the response. And because today we're talking about technology, I'll pick out some examples going through these of the role of technology. First of all, risk understanding. Well, it's clear that financial institutions need to understand the enemy, the bad actors, as it were. We've always had risk assessments and risk understanding, national risk assessments, sectoral risk assessments. The difference today is that the way that we collect data, the ability of institutions and government authorities to analyze data is radically different from where it was even just 3 to 5 years ago. We're able now to pinpoint attacks, pinpoint vulnerabilities, understand comparisons of system response in a way that we couldn't. And that's able to prioritize where we're actually able to intervene in terms of supervision. The key aspect here is there's a convergence of threats. If we go back 10, 15, 20 years, I used to work in anti-triad units in the Hong Kong police. It was like working in a box. The drug trafficking unit did its own work. The anti-triad unit did its work. Today, we see global crime syndicates that they don't have a view in the area in which they operate. They operate together. We see professional services for money laundering, including the application of technology, the scalability when we look at fraud farms, bots, and all of the ways that they scale up and decrease the cost of these attacks. So we see that convergence of threats. So we can't talk in terms of fraud, money laundering, cyber, crypto, all of these. They come together as far as the bad actors that will attack our systems. So to do so, to take to address the way that we're being attacked, we work in partnerships. And this perhaps has been the most fundamental change in the way that we work in the public and private sector since I've started this work. We now have a number of very successful partnerships that have been driven. I have to give a huge shout out here to the Hong Kong police in the way that they've developed some of these collaboratively over the last few years. We've had the Fraud and Money Laundering Intelligence Task Force, which now comprises all 28 of our retail banks and stored value facility providers, which reflects the cross-sectoral nature of fraud. My experience in recent years with the innovation of the delivery of financial products has been that it is only a matter of days or weeks before weaknesses are tested, and where we see the arbitrage and we see things move into products which previously I would have said that can't be attractive for a financial crime syndicate. But we quickly see these vulnerabilities tested. So we work not only in terms of the Fraud and Money Laundering Intelligence Task Force, we have the co-location of industry experts sitting alongside police in the scam centre so that they can operate that 24/7 fraud and stop payment mechanism. And most recently, we have the evolution of the Virtual Assets Intelligence Task Force, bringing together those crypto players and as well as Finest, which shares information from a bank-to-bank perspective, and that's something that we're expanding at the moment. And that addresses the issue that a financial institution, in whichever sector it's working, previously has only had visibility across its own data and customers. And we're trying to address that through we've passed legislation that provides the necessary safeguards for information sharing, but at the same time as well, we're expanding, looking into payment data analytics and the use of AI on platforms of that nature, and that's something we're developing at the moment. So technology plays a critical role, and we at the HKMA see our role strongly as an enabler in this regard. What do I mean by that? Well, we've shifted our focus away from a supervisory regime that really emphasized compliance with regulatory requirements now to where the predominantly our time is spent supporting institutions, looking across sectoral risks. How can we improve? To give you an example, for those banks that operate in the partnerships, so our retail banks, again, a program of support over the last few years about bringing analytical capabilities, upscaling their data environment so that they're able to contribute not only as a taker of data, but able to take analytics back into that which strengthens the broader network. We've taken a change in the last 18 months with a very strong focus on the use of artificial intelligence, requiring banks to submit board-endorsed feasibility studies and implementation plans, and then following that up with a series of proactive engagements looking at the use cases that we think will deliver the most benefit, the most value. So, for example, starting off last year, looking at surveillance systems. We've now gone recently to an event looking agentic AI. We're running a workshop in the near future looking at how that is being applied in private wealth management, in source of wealth requirements. And again, it's an area that we've seen very rapid growth, particularly when you go into areas like crypto, stable coins, and what we consider a more forward-leaning looking organization in terms of the overall fraud risk management frameworks. I've got a minute left, and I'll just talk to the box at the edge about innovation, because we're going to talk a lot about technology today and artificial intelligence, and that's great. But we take the view, and I think Dr. Soon mentioned this, it's not just about it's not just about technology. It's really about how we augment some of the superb skills that we have existing at the moment. And when we look at financial crime and we talk about innovation, what we're trying to do from a top-down international standards position set by the Financial Action Task Force is to say that we need to innovate everything that we do, because that's the opposition that we're facing. That's the challenge that we're facing. There's a level of innovation, probing, use of technology on an unprecedented scale. And to combat that, we have to operate with the same agility. We have to operate with the same innovation, and we have to do that at an end-to-end process. It's not about plugging a particular piece of technology into one part of the system. It's having a strategic plan to innovate end-to-end processes in terms of the way you interact with customers, and making sure that we embed technology in that with all the component parts of a strategic framework to make that effective. And I'm going to stop there and hand over to the next speaker. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you, Astrid, for inviting me to share the eMPF journey with you today. This is one of the biggest digital transformation journeys in Hong Kong. I have much more slides on that part, but I'll try to make it shorter on that. Today's seminar theme is AI empowerment. In fact, one of the key lessons we learned that AI and digital transformation are not separate journeys. Organizations often ask, how can we use AI? But before AI can create meaningful value, we need the right foundations, like standardized process, trusted data, integrated system, strong governance, something like that. The eMPF platform is a good example of how building that foundation can unlock future opportunities. Next slide, please. Let me begin by explaining the situation before eMPF. Historically, each eMPF trustee operated its own administrative system, have their own service, have their own standards, individual service arrangement, all of that. For scheme members, this often created complexity and inconvenience. A member with accounts under different trustees need to maybe browse from different platforms, have different forms, have contact different service managers, keep track their information across multiple systems. Many processes still remain paper form, like the registration form, like the enrollment form, contribution record, withdrawal statement. Those are involved in physical documents right now. So what happened on that part? Administration costs were higher, processing time were still higher, the human errors were more likely to be happen, customer experience was not good. These pain points demonstrated the incremental improvements will not be sufficient. A fundamental transformation was required. Next slide, please. So the vision behind the NPF was straightforward but ambitious. We want to build a centralized, common, and one-stop electronic platform. We want to standardize the process, streamline the flow, optimize administrative activities, provide a better user experience on that part. And EMPF platform operates as a public utility on a non-profit basis. Importantly, trustee still continues to perform their key fiduciary functions, such as investment management, asset custody, fund service, those kind of things. We think that many AI initiatives struggle because data is fragmented across organization and system. By creating common process and data structures, EMPF build the consistency that future AI applications require. In many ways, EMPF is not only a platform for digital transformation, it's also the data foundation for future intelligence services. Next slide, please. So you can see that a lot of functions, we can do it right now in the EMPF platform. We can do the account creation, enrollment, submission, registration, handle your contribution and process payment, even for all the contribution like mandatory contribution, voluntary contribution. Employees can manage the NPF accounts doing the fund switching, scheme transfer, sure also the benefit withdrawal on that part. And in our platform, we generate standardized notice, documents, reports. We have centralized the database and have an information management system. Customer can access through online portals, web portal, mobile application. And sure, for those not familiar with the technology, they could still go to our service center to perform their NPF matters in person. I think our design was very simple. We want to digitalize the end-to-end customer journey. Today, many AI-powered experience depend on integrated platforms. Without a unified platform, intelligent automations becomes extremely difficult. This is another reason why building the right digital architecture was so important. Next slide, please. So this large-scale transformation requires careful execution. For EMPF, we adopt a phased onboarding approach. We start the first trustee onboarded in June 2024, and throughout 2024 and 2025, all other trustees onboarded one by one. And by the end of 2025, all NPF trustees onboarded EMPF. Also, by the end of April 2026, two remaining NPF industry schemes onboard EMPF. So at that moment, EMPF entered full operation. This phased approach allows us to minimize some operation risk, give us learn continuously, refine some migration process, and also maintain our service stability. So we know that when dealing with mission-critical system affecting millions of users, careful sequencing is often as important as technology itself. Next slide, please. So this is some figure of the latest status right now. As of July 2026, there are more than 2.3 million users registered in our platform. And in our platform, we already handled more than 16 million administrative instructions. And among that, we have around 80% is through the digital submission on that part. So this, we think that it represents a very significant change from historical behavior. As digital adoption continues to grow, the value of this data will increase. Next slide, please. So we also want to share some challenge on that, developing and implementing the NPF. Maybe next slide. Sure, thank you. So we think that we want to share some challenges because we think the AI journeys right now also may have a high chance to face similar challenge on that part. You can see that the complexity is the most difficult part right now, because we need to create a single platform serving for different users. We need to have a process re-engineering, legislative changes, a lot of process redesign on that part, and also we involve the large-scale data migration. You can think about that. We migrate from one Excel to another Excel involving hundreds of columns already are not an easy task. We are doing migrating more than thousands of tables, not columns. And I think each trustee, some large trustee have more than 100 million of records on that part. We need to handle more than 12 trustees on that. So this is a very huge task on the data migration. Also, you can see the cybersecurity and data protection, a lot of hacking activities we need to handle. There's a tight schedule. We need to onboard within 2 years, starting from the 2024. On the right-hand side, you can see that we have another angle of challenge that is more focusing on the user side. There's the digital take-up rate, because before eMPF on board, less than half people is a digital user, especially the employers, and also not much more scheme members actively manage the MPF account using electronic means. Also, we have a high degree of user diversity. We have around 300,000 of employers, more than 4 million scheme members. We have different HR partners, trustee, different age groups user, different education background users. So this is a very high degree of user diversity. And also the publicity and communication, we need to reach out a lot of different persons to let them know how to use this platform on that part. So this is the most challenge we are facing right now. Next page, please. So how we could overcome this challenge, we have some example on that part, like the cybersecurity and data protection. We do a lot of testing, sensitive testing, a lot of assessment. We also take reference from international best practice, from the government policy, we reference to them, take advice from the DPO on that part. We do a lot of risk assessment, security audit, and also promoting some 24 hours anti-hacking measures and monitoring on that part. Also, the master data management, we have a strong data governance, and we have a data migration. A lot of that we need to handle. We need to do the data cleansing and also the data governance on that part. So we learned that the good governance and trusted data are extremely essential for successful digital transformation and also the AI project. Next slide, please. So also we need to deal with the driving the digital adoption. We know that the technology alone does not change behavior. Users must see value and also feel confident when they adopting the new technology. So a lot of things we need to do. Like first, we need to focus some heavily involved in the user design. We have to make the platform easy to use. We invest heavily in the education and outreach program. We also have some additional support for users who were less familiar with the digital technologies. We arrange a lot of workshop, training section, assistance program. So what's the lesson learned? That is, when we went to implement digital transformation or AI, success depends on people, not just only the technology itself. Next page, please. So we have some figures we could share. That is, we arranged 600 outreach activities and also 200 speaking engagement. We arranged throughout 2024 to 2026. And we often discuss AI models right now. We believe we want to build some trust on that part, and we think trust remains equally important among the project deployment on that. This is what we do right now. Next slide, please. So some positive impacts I want to share. We could jump to the next slide also. Thank you. So very direct, that is the admin fee, we lower the admin fee. The operational fee is lower because we have a single straight-through platform, have a more digital platform on that part. The admin fee, we dropped from the 55 points before onboarding to right now, we have dropped to the 29 points. That means we have a 50% decrease on our admin fee on that part. All the admin fee we will give back to the scheme members. That means that all scheme members, they could have using the same value, same amount to buy more fund units on that part. This is the very straightforward impact to our all scheme members. Sure, you could see that a lot of greater efficiency, accuracy. We use digital, then have a fewer paper usage, have a greener earth. We have a more protection to our members. This is all our positive impacts right now. Next slide, please. Beyond that, we also believe the trustee also gain benefits because they can focus to their work like investment performance, risk assessment, their fiduciary opportunities. For the regulatory bodies, we have a more transparent, more efficient, and more responsive approach on that part. We think that is create conditions that support future innovation. Next slide, please. So for supervisory, traditionally supervision tends to have to be reactive. Issues are often identified after they occur. But right now we change because we have a centralized and timely data right now. We shift forward to more proactive supervision. In future, instead of asking what happened, we can increasingly ask what is likely to happen next. We change from reactive to predictive supervision. Next slide, please. So a simple rest is that we have a more electronic reporting, annual return submission, digital case management, and looking ahead, the AI may support us for the intelligent document processing, automated case classification, chatbot assisted inquiries, and decision support analytics. So our objective is very simple. Our objective is not to replace people. The objective is to augment human capability. AI empowers professionals to focus on higher value work that requires judgment and expertise. Next page. So we think that eMPF is a pioneer in digital transformation because globally, there are a few pension institutions can implement this kind of full service centralized digital platform. They normally is providing the partial coverage like only for employer or employees. Not like our eMPF platform have a comprehensive end-to-end administrative capabilities. So we think that this is a very pioneering digital transformation. Next slide, please. So let me conclude with one final thought. Many organizations start their AI journey by asking, how can we use AI? Based on our experience, perhaps a more important question is, how do we build the right foundation so AI can create sustainable value? This is our lesson learned right now. And eMPF journey demonstrates that we have a successful transformation begins. We have a trusted data, standardized process, strong governance, user adoption, collaboration. All of that is our foundation. So the eMPF is not just a digital transformation program. It is a foundation for continuous innovation and future AI empowerment. What makes us success on that part? Because we have a lot of parties collaborate well together. We have MPFA, eMPF company, MPF trustee, employers, employees, scheme members, service providers, all together creating this project. Together, we are building a stronger retirement protection ecosystem for Hong Kong. The platform itself is not the ultimate objective. The ultimate objective is providing better outcomes for society in Hong Kong. Thank you very much.
Hey, hello, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I want to thank Ashley for the invitation to be a speaker here. Today, I will talk about the digital bank fraud challenges and how we can manage evolving landscape. You can move to the next slide. I think this presentation is particular given the rapid advancement in digital banking and the increasing sophistications of fraudulent activities. So we all are aware that digital transformations has brought business opportunities, but it also open to the different fraud attacks. So it makes our role in risk management more critical than ever before. So move to the next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah. Here the agenda today is first, we will explore the key challenges that the banks face in the digital age. Then we will talk about the AI solutions and AI ML models helping in fraud preventions. Final, we will look at the future fraud detection in banking industry. So next slide, please. I think the first one will be the fast customer experience, or we call that customer expectations. Nowadays, I think all the customer want the bank service to be quick, easier, and always available. They expect quick approvals and instant response for their transactions. If the security checks take too long or happen too often, our customer will become frustrated. The banks need to find a way to keep things secure without slowing down customer experience. The second part is rapid transaction speeds. And I think our customer is always want to things done right away. It means that they expect, for example, their credit card applications or payments to be processed instantly. Therefore, the bank needs a system that can handle these requests quickly and more reliable. The fourth point is the digital channels. Apart from the speed of the transactions, the banks also offer multiple ways to access the system, like the mobile banking applications or websites. This makes it easier for the customer, but at the same time, it also creates more opportunity for being attacked by the fraudster. So each new channel can have weak spots that criminal can use. The bank must make sure all these channels are safe and consistent. For the sophistication of the fraudster, they are no longer simple criminals. They are well organized and use advanced technology to get around our security systems. They even use tools like AI to make their fraud schemes more complex and hard to detect. It means the bank must consistently update their fraud prevention methods and use a smarter, more adaptable technologies, not just old rules. The last one will be the talent gaps. I think right now, to fight against those smart digital fraudsters, bandit people with special skill in areas like AI, cybersecurity, and digital change. There aren't enough of these skilled people available, which create a talent gaps. I think the banks must fill up this gap by upskilling and use strong defense against the new digital attack. Without right expert, even the best technology may not work well. So we will next slide. We will talk about the how we can manage the challenge. So as we have been talking about the customer expectation on speed the process on all the transactions, the banks face a significant challenge in here. So this so-called the real-time decision engines become very, very critical. These engines are designed to handle both the speed of the application as well as the transaction processing, and the critical needs for immediate fraud detections. So by centralizing all the relevant data, This engine can rapidly assess the risks and also make the right decisions. These integrations allow banks to approve legitimate transactions and the application instantly, and also enhancing our customer experience, while also vetting out and preventing fraudulent activity before they can cause the damage. Second is the AI predictive analytics. While AI offers the benefits for analyzing huge amounts of data, a key challenge is processing this data, extracting meaningful insight quickly enough to proactively prevent fraud. Traditional rule-based systems are often too slow for evolving nature of fraud. And we also need to consider the rapid rates of social engineering scams, fraud attacks, and the fraudulent nature of digital transactions that the fraudster may operate from everywhere, which also complicate our investigation and prosecutions. This landscape demands a more sophisticated data-driven approach. Therefore, AI for predictive analytics allow us to move beyond reactive measures. By analyzing historical data and identifying suspicious patterns, AI can anticipate and predict potential fraud, and also enabling us to implement a proactive intelligence and prevention strategies. Moving to machine learning models, it offers a power solutions to enhance our fraud detection capabilities. One of the most significant benefits is the ability to improve the fraud detection rate. Unlike static rule sets, ML models continuously learn and adapt from new data, becoming more accurate over time in identifying emerging fraud patterns. I think equally important, ML models can significantly reduce the number of false positive alerts. Those instances where legitimate transactions are mistakenly flagged out as fraudulent. Also, by minimizing this false alert, we can greatly increase our customer satisfactions as less customer experience unnecessary inconvenience like block the car or delay the transactions. Additionally, reducing false alert free up our resources, allowing the investigation teams to focusing on the actual fraud cases, thereby optimizing operation efficiency and reducing overall investigation time. Next slide, please. To keep things even more secure, we also use something called behavior biometrics and analytics. Think of its ways. Instead of just asking the password or even one-time password, we also look at the behavior. For example, when the customer uses their banking applications, our system pays attention to the details, like how fast do they type, how many times required for inputting the data, or else where is the accessing geographic locations. This creates a unique digital footprint. By constantly watching these patterns, we can spot if someone who isn't the real customer is trying to log in, even they can obtain the correct passwords. This adds a super smart security layer that often works in the background without bothering the real customers. Moving to the OCL document fraud detection solutions, this is a smarter way to automate to find the fake, altered, and or the AI-generated documents. In banking industry, we still need some physical or scanned document for things like applying for a loan or opening a bank accounts. Before that, we are conducting the manual checks for documents, but this one will really take times and also create some human errors. So now, when a document is submitted, this OCR engine quickly read and pull out all the required informations by comparing the documents to the official templates, and also check the details against our records and look at any suspicious. For example, it could find if someone changed the date, a names, or even a transaction informations. This makes the checking process much faster and more accurate. All right, this is the current fraud prevention methods we talk about. Maybe we move to the next slide to talk about the feature patterns. Advanced AI technologies. I think in future, we will use an even smarter AI. This isn't just about catching frauds. It's all about the AI that can learn and change its method to find new types of fraud very accurately. It will also having a super smart detective that constantly get the better at its jobs, making sure we catch more fraud and faster than ever before. It means our system will able to adapt quickly to the new threats fraudsters come up with. Next will be the quantum computing. Imagine this is a computer so powerful, it can solve all the problem, but not the regular one we use. In fraud detection perspective, this will allow us to analyze complex weak situation much faster. It also helps us understand hidden connections and the pattern in huge amounts of data that we can't see today. This will make our ability to predict and stop the fraud far more powerful. Last but not least is the blockchain technologies. I think blockchain is like a super secure, transparent, and unchangeable records. In banking industry, this means we can make transaction more clear and easier to track. Every step of the transaction will be recorded in a way that very hard to tamper with. This makes things more secure and build more trust. And we can always see exactly what happened and when. It will also make it much easier to trace suspicious activities. Okay, in conclusion, while the digital age brings a challenge like faster transaction and smarter fraudster, it also gives us the powerful tools like AI, machine learning models, and even future tech like quantum computer and blockchains. By using these new technologies smartly, we can balance the speed and customer experience, and also building a trust and keeping our bank and customer safety. That's all for my presentation to date. Thank you.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Arvin from S3, and this is my pleasure to present in this event and with all the experts in risk management from different large organizations. Today, I would like to share how AI is fundamentally changing fraud detections, especially in document-centric financial services. We will look at how fraud has evolved, why traditional controls are no longer sufficient, and how S3 is using AI, document intelligence, and image forensics to combat next generation fraud. And the key message is simple today for me to like you to bring it back is AI is no longer just a tool for attacker. It's becoming the most important tools for defender as well. Next slide, please. Yes, today I will focus on 4 areas. The first thing that the scale and the evolutions of fraud. Second is the real examples are how fraudsters manipulate documents today. And then I will present about what S3 have done on the AI fraud detections. Finally, we'll talk about the future challenges of that. Next slide, please. So fraud is no longer an operational issue. It has become a strategic industrial challenge. Globally, the annual fraud loss are estimated between $400 billion to $600 billion. In Hong Kong, Hong Kong is not immune. And in Hong Kong, more than 43,000 fraud cases were reported last year, and the loss total lump sum exceeds more than 8 billion Hong Kong dollars. So, of course, that is important, but a lot only on the amount of how much that we lost. But you can see that the growing trend is amazing. The fraud scale faster than most organizations nowadays can increase their manpower to review the capability and their review capability. This creates a widening gap between attack volume and defensive capability. Next slide, please. So fraud evolutions is along the technology. Last 20 years ago, when we are talking about fraud, actually mainly involve, in the digital world, okay? So mainly inside the manual forgery. Since everyone are using a desktop computer, using some publishing solutions, actually, you can use the digital editing tools. Later, online applications and digital onboarding create new attack surface. Today, generative AI allow fraudsters to create high realistic synthetic documents in minutes. And the next stage is agentic AI. Future fraud may not require humans actively operate and prevent the attack. AI agent could automatically generate the document, build synthetic identity, and execute fraud workflow at scale. That is a fundamentally different threat model. Next slide, please. So fraud affects every financial product, mortgage, personal loan, insurance, wealth management, digital payment, commercial bookings, bankings. This is a very, we are talking about why fraud cannot be owned by a single department. Fraudsters exploit organization silos. They look for gap between products, teams, and verification processes. Ultimately, every successful fraud has a cost. Whether through higher fee, higher premium, higher compliance costs, or direct losses, those costs are eventually back to the final consumer. Next slide, please. So how usually people currently using the technologies to make the fraud? Then mainly, most of them nowadays are using a simple solutions. And no matter what kind of technology they are using, even though using a Microsoft Ping or using AI solutions, most of the time that actually what they want to do is changing a name, changing an address, transaction amounts, a date, account number, something like that. What has changed nowadays is that AI generated now makes those modifications faster, cheaper, significantly harder to detect. So a fraudster can create realistic looking bank statement within minutes. Next slide, please. So these are examples that we observed in actual project. Common modifications include the transaction amount, account holding information, issue days, address. Those changes may appear trivial, and sometimes it's easier for human to observe. And however, the complexity affecting the credible assessments or a loan approval process. If we want to make the whole approval process automatically, we need the machine will be able to detect the fault is very important. So, please. For Ashley, we have our AI fraud solutions already deployed, and mainly we have two areas. Please press again. Yes, again too. Okay. We have 5 tools, and the first one we are based on for first dimensions will be focused on the contents. That is what information already contained inside document, that the text, the amount or something like that. And the second dimensions will be the appearance, just how the documents look like, and those appearance, what we can observe, just like it just look like a image itself. So most these two dimensions, most traditional system currently they will only focus on the OCR and the text extractions. They extracted the text and then maybe do some the process, and that's why our approach combining content validations, layout analysis, manipulations, detections, and AI generated image detections. Next slide, please. So here is the solutions for the architecture of our solutions, and these have been deployed to our client. And you can see that we have a UI for our customer to upload the documents or input the information for the processing. Of course, please press again. Next, please. Okay, so we also have the API for our client, so that it can become a completely back-end solutions to our client. Next slide, please. So here is an example what we have done. Next, please. Yes, we can focus on 3 types of document we can upload using the UI. We can upload the document, next please. And then we can, this is currently deployed to one customer. We focus on this for several type of documents. Of course, for the other client, they have different type of document they want to verify. So next please. So for a 3 pages bank statement, actually for a human to verify all the informations, and it took about 10 minutes. For AI and human in loop, these combinations, AI can detect everything within 3 minutes. Depends on the hardware. We are using an RTX 3080 GPU card, one single GPU card. That took 3 minutes. Of course, you are using a recent higher end GPU much faster. That 3 minutes to complete everything plus the human review. Next slide, please. Next, please. So we have some demonstrations of currently that the system will be able to identify and check those information on that kind of bank statements. And not listed bank statements are in another group that the system will be able to identify and certain part of the information, but it will not be able to verify all the details. Next, please. So for a bank statement, actually, most of the bank statements look like that. And next piece, content validation focus on the logical consistency. So to do this part, actually, we need to correctly extract all the information tests and the graphics on the bank scanned documents. What we can do is we can extract the test, also identify the information on that field. So we can tell that is a transaction days in sequence. Do running balances add up correctly? Account field internally consistent? And once information is extracted into structural data, mathematical and logical validation becomes straightforward. This allows us to identify inconsistencies that may not be visible during visual inspections. Next piece. So in this slide, that we're checking the date consistency in here. Sometimes it's not quite obvious, but sometimes we need to check. It's time consuming. This next slide, please. This is a demo on how we can do the transaction detection. So next piece. Yes, that next piece. We can extract the transaction table and then extract this information and recognize all the number and understand the numbers belong to the debit withdrawal or balance. Next piece. Then it become just look like all the information in the Excel. At the same time, actually, next piece, we can do the calculations and detect that is something wrong balance between consecutive items. Yes, thank you. Next piece. The next one will be a demo video piece. Yes, you can see that we can upload a document through the UI and then see that the one pages for this demo. And in this way that we only check the content validations and just upload it. The system will perform the OCR and then to do the checking. Just a few seconds that actually the system will be able to identify what was the wrong balance. We can zoom in, that you can see that is the number is incorrect. It's not as expected. The expected number that will show next to the wrong balance. Next, please. Yeah. Similarly, that we will be able to detect the layout information. We examine the physical structure of the documents. Foster may sometimes change the content, but often struggle to perfectly preserve the layout characteristics. We compare the field locations against trusted templates. We evaluate the font size, consistency, and also analyze the font characteristics. Individually, that those signals may be weak, but combine everything together, actually, we can provide more information to our the system, to our customer. And next, please. Yes, something similar that we can detect the layout based on the 4 elements. We can identify the locations. Oh, next, please. This is another video showing the forgery detections based on the font size and the layout. So obviously that human is easier to identify the address is and the name is moved into the part. So we can detect it and highlight it and show the expected locations of that. Yes, next please. Similarly, that the font size next please. And then we can show the zoom in of this part. We can see this is some range on the number fee piece. Yes, this will be we can compute the size of each characters and then tell the user that is a potential risk in here. Next, please. Yeah. So most of we will identify the fonts group into the two types. We will not be able to identify these two groups. We can identify this between these two groups, but within the same group, we will not be able to identify. But this is sufficiently help the user to save the time to observe the font variations. Next, please. Yeah, this is another video. Next, please. On the font type checking. Yes, you can see that during the OCR, we can identify all the tests and extract the information. Finally, that we can identify where are the fonts a little bit strange. So let the user alert this part. And next, please. Yes. Or similarly, OCR will not be able to 100% correct. So this solution will be able to let the user using their domain knowledge to do some corrections so that everything can be better. Next, please. Okay. I need to move faster. Then next, please. Next. Yes. Yes, this is AI-generated image detections. Using these solutions, our advanced technology will be able to identify a input image is that generated by AI or not. Next, please. Yes. Yes, sometimes you can see one of them is generated by AI. So using this, both of them are generated by AI using the palm in the middle. Next, please. Yes. Next, please. Yes, and then the next. For this part, we are talking about another important part. Since we can detect the image are generated by AI, at the same time, actually, another major threat is the document tampering. Copy and paste operation frequently left forensic checkers. Those checkers may exist in most image based on the image texture, local noise patterns, and intense variations. Our manipulations detections engine identifying suspicious regions and assigns a confidence score to support investigators in this area. Next, please. So I highlighted all the points already. This is the video demonstrating that. Okay, we can highlight five locations, and those are modified by humans. Oh, next, please. So for the challenges is synthetic. There's a lot of different type of synthetic documents. We need in the future. Actually, we see that a defect onboarding will affect the bank industries and synthetic identity documents, AI powers, the scam factory, and ultimately agent fraud. In the future, AI system may automatically conduct end-to-end fraud operations. This means institutions must prepare for the machine versus machines security environment. So next, please. Yes. Last but not least, I want to mention again AI in here that is a double-edged sword. Is actually empower both attacker and defenders. But actually, taking the role, we can combine our document AI, image forensics, fraud analysis to create a more trustworthy digital financial ecosystem. And the future of fraud defense will depend on AI assistant verification at scale. And thank you very much. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tang. In an era where data is growing exponentially and risks evolve rapidly, AI is playing an increasingly important role in helping financial institutions detect threats earlier, make more consistent decisions, and strengthen resilience. We are delighted to present Strengthening this Financial Defense Ecosystem, Regulators, Financial Institutions, and Law Enforcement in Action, moderated by Mr. Dan Wong, Senior Director, Strategic Account and IP Management of S3. Joining him are our distinguished panelists, Mr. McLean, Mr. Kwok, Mr. Lau, and Mr. Robert Low, Hong Kong Digital Asset Leader, Deloitte China. The floor is yours, Dan.
Great, thank you very much. And I want to welcome all of you to the interactive part of the seminar. I am with ASTRI, where we actually build lots of the technologies that address lots of the issues that our keynote speakers mentioned today, including what Dr. Tang just shared as some of the technologies that we build to support. And we're really quite fortunate today to really bring experts from 4 parts of the industry ecosystem to really explore a very, very difficult and also very timely challenge, which is around how do we build better security within the financial system in a world that's changing very, very quickly. We have Stuart, who started off with this keynote around having a view overall around the whole industry. And I think mentioning some key things such as around structural change and such as around things around working across silos. We also have, of course, Eric bringing in the viewpoint of the eMPF transformation. And I would say that this is occurring at a broad level across a whole region. And I think digital transformations of this scale are very, very rare to share. And so we're fortunate to have someone like Eric to kind of bring in the inside view that includes not just technology, but then also ecosystem and human factors. On top of that, we have Jack from DBS, and DBS is widely known as one of the most respected digital forward banks in terms of transformation and sharing within their bank what are they doing in terms of this area. And then finally, of course, we have Deloitte and Robert there explaining a little bit how do you then advise their clients in terms of how to address this. So I think it's really quite a privilege to bring in these 4 perspectives from 4 experts in this area. And I think today is a very, very apt, analogy of one of the challenges, because this was meant to be an in-person webinar. Today was meant to be an in-person webinar, and nobody could have predicted the black rain. And so when the black rain comes, suddenly everything has now changed. And I've gone from a physical seminar to a webinar. And now we very quickly using technology such as Zoom to address it, but then also move it very quickly. So it's not just the technology. So I think it's quite a good analogy a little bit in terms of the types of changes that we're seeing within this area, right? And so kind of with that as a background, what I'd like to do is kind of go around the table. And we do have 30 minutes to kind of go into some of these areas. And I do want to perhaps maybe also invite Stuart, if you could, maybe because you have such a broad view, to maybe set the stage for us a little bit in terms of kind of what. And you mentioned some structural changes in your opening. Maybe just like a 2-3 minute, just set the stage for us a little bit. And then based on that, we can kind of go around the table and then talk with our experts and explore some of the key areas around this. Stuart, do you want to maybe take your earlier sharing and then maybe tease out a couple of key areas to set the stage for our discussion here today?
Sure, thanks, Dan. So yeah, I'll cover a few challenges, and I think there's been some excellent points made. And I'll start off by saying that I think one of the challenges is that it's different for all financial institutions in all sectors. So some of what we talked about, having a joined up strategy with all the building blocks in place, the data environment, the skill set, the innovation, the way that the mindset around change, some of that already exists in a number of institutions, but it's far less mature in others. So I think one of the challenges is just it's not a level playing field in terms of where everybody's starting and what people need to do to advance that. We're trying to level the playing field in many respects with centralization of some issues, of support that is tailored for large as well as small. And I thought Eric made a great point in that question about, coming at this from a sustainability. Not we want to use artificial intelligence, but how do we implement a framework that allows us to implement this in a sustainable way, and that's often use case versus technology. The solution case, and we often ask banks to think about that. That's the first thing. The second thing is banks, have a wide range of challenges. Financial crime is not the only one, and they have a huge range of regulatory and compliance reporting requirements. So it's challenging, particularly when we're asking them to balance customer experience with safety and soundness. Payments speed is a really important one. Faster payment system has been a great success story in Hong Kong, and people want to do things quicker, they want to do things faster, but ultimately there is an area of payments where we need to make sure we have the right level of control. So extremely challenging for banks. And then the third thing I'm going to mention, before I pass over to someone else, is we're coming at this from a compliance mindset, very conservative. There's often been an analogy about an ocean-going tanker. It takes a long time to change direction. But because of fraud, we're asking banks to change constantly, evolve, innovate, explore. And that's a challenge. And I think that's why it's so useful to have organizations like ASTRI. And I think the comments were made at the end about some of the work they're doing, because I think from the outside, there can be inputs from academia, from research, and organisations like this that can really assist banks to make that quicker turn. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Stuart, for that. I think for setting the stage, because I think here's one of the challenges. There are too many challenges, and I think maybe let's take that same question to the rest of our panelists, right? Because all these different challenges. Right, and we all know that it's coming much quicker than it has been historically, at least. The rate of change, the type of change, and just the breadth of the challenge that goes way beyond technology. And so I think maybe to our other panelists, maybe the question then becomes, of all these challenges, what do you think are the key challenges really to then address right now? And of course, they're all important. Of course, in some ways, I think, Stuart, as you mentioned, they are interconnected. And so yet maybe then we need to take maybe one more step, and I'd be very interested to hear from our panelists here, of course, coming from your different perspectives. What do you think within this broad set of challenges? And I think, Stuart, you mentioned, can we level the playing field a little bit, including differences between institutions? What do you think are the real key challenges, I think, that you're seeing from your perspectives as practitioners in your field? Who wants to start with that one?
Robert,
I see you raise your hand. Robert, please go ahead.
Yes, I think I totally agree with you and the speakers is that I think the most important is that, according to my experience to deal with my clients, is that the mindset changes, right? The mindset is, I think, is the most important challenge in the organizations. Because I believe that many institutions still treat the fraud as a compliance or something like operation problem, rather than a core risk. This is a very important core risk that sits at the intersections of the technology, data, customer experience, and in the third-party ecosystem. So it's very important for the mindset changes, right? Every time that when we talk to our clients, is that about, say, cybersecurity attack, what kind of things they will think that it is some compliance issues or operations that how we can end it. But if they back to the core and then think that it is this is nowadays they need in their internal control, the risk matrix, I think the banks, the securities firms, everything that they need to include there is a very top priority. And what kinds of the internal control or what kind of the talent that we need to include that, or even they need to know this from the markets, right? Sometimes when there is some financial crime, every financial crime is, I think, is new to everyone, right? They until maybe 2 months or 3 months, and then the market will share that we know that there is some crime here, some fraud here, but I think usually this is a little bit late. So the challenge is the end of the day is that how we can share all these informations on time, but without leakage of the privacy. I think at this moment I stop first and then let other panelists to share, and then I come back later.
This is really good. And I want to kind of maybe distill a little bit what you said. And so I think of all these things, I think the first thing you start with is the mentality.
Right.
And because I think that's at the core of any organization in terms of taking the next step, right? So for example, and I really like your point around compliance versus core risk. How do you view that? And depending on how you view this, your action will be very, very different. And I'm very, very curious, just a very quick one to you, just on this topic. You serve many different clients. Are you seeing a very big difference in the type of mentalities different organizations, even within the same sector, are taking? Is there a very big difference here? Have people, because I can imagine, how can you go from decades of compliance suddenly into a core risk perspective? Well, what are you seeing? Is that changing very quickly? Is it, I mean, given that the world outside is changing, what are you seeing kind of in terms of the clients?
I think this is a very good question, is that for the mindset or from the core or the operation problem is that it's totally different from different level, from the chairman, the CEO, to the compliance head, or even to some in front of the operations team. The mindset is totally different, right? When we do something to do some advice, or even the companies has some problem, we go to have some consulting services to them. We need to do some interview, right? Every different management level, they must have different agenda. So I think this mindset we need to change is that how we educate them, that the educations, right, the institutional education system, I think to align all levels management teams, and also the people who are in front of the organizations, they need to aware that this is the problem of everyone, right? Not only for the compliance team. So any problem, the compliance team, please handle. The technology team, please handle. I think it is not, nowadays it's not like that. We need to work together. So to me is that how to educate, how we can let them know if there's any fraud in the companies, and what kind of things will make the reputation damage to the whole firm, and is that their bonus, their salary, everything will be impaired of the company. So I think, to me, to keep it simple, is that educate to them is very important.
Yeah, and I think you bring in a very important nuance and detail here, which is, a company, an organization is not a monolith. So even within the same company or enterprise, you could see different mentalities inside.
Right.
And so now how do you start aligning that and educating that to even take the next step, even if within the same organization? So I think
that's really main challenges to
bring out as well, right? Yeah, so that's really good. Let's take it, whether it is Eric or Jack, do you want to add on top of this, still to the topic of, what do you think from your perspective is the core challenge here amongst all of these different challenges that we're facing today? Where would you focus?
I will focusing on the data, how we can collect the data. Is quite important, because that the bank have the different departments, different multiple systems. So how we can gather all the data to do the analysis, right? For example, you need to put when you use the AI, you need to contribute all the data to the engines, right? So another thing is how we can transform the unstructured data to the structured data. So that AI can read the informations and then provide insight to you. This is quite critical for us right now. Yeah.
And I think that's so important, because I think kind of on the topic today, we all know that in back of the AI capability, whether you are attacking, whether you're defending, is this data and bringing it together. And of course, I have also been involved in many AI projects. And I think, of course, everybody knows how important data is. But then on paper, why don't you just combine your data? But then in practice, I've seen so many times where that then becomes the killer. So I think on paper, it seems like no brainer. Let's consolidate the data, but then in practice it's very difficult. I wonder, Jack, if that's also something that you've seen as well in practice, when you really try to then bring that data together. And by the way, I think kind of in terms of this particular topic is actually quite sensitive in many, many ways as well, right? To drive that.
Yeah,
So what are you seeing in terms of kind of to your point, like data and the importance of bringing that data together to bring the protections to the level that they need to be, and then yet in practice, is this something that you know kind of that I'd love to if you can share a bit of your experience here, given the DBS journey. What have you seen? Because I know that you spent a very, very long journey to get to a position to have that foundation. Is there more that you can share there in terms of data?
I think luckily we have agentic AI right now. So and also the OCR help a lot because for example when we talk about the unstructured data like the scanned image, we can leverage on the agentic AI or even the OCR technologies to capture the data, and then we can transform to the structured data, and then we can leverage the data to do some analysis for fraud detections. This is the key one we are using right now. Yeah,
really good. How about Eric? How about you share a little bit from your perspective here in terms of the core challenge that you're seeing?
Okay, thank you. I think all share a lot on that. First, I think just very one straightforward. We think is a most difficult challenge. That is because we think that's the fraud right now become very faster, more adaptive, more powerful by the AI right now. So simply, I think that is the biggest challenge is we need to defend this kind of fraud by some moving targets right now. But we still, another challenge is we still need to keep our service simple to our authorized users. Cannot disrupt the service on that part, but still need to facing that kind of moving target. And this is, for us, is a very big challenge on that part. Like in EMPF perspective, I think because you all know that the scale, the trust, the change management has a lot for this our project on that part. But we still need to have decide a lot of diverse mechanism, a lot of thinking to solve the problem, and also to do the defensive things on that part. But we still need to keep the service, cannot disturb the service, or cannot make some how to say that we need to make sure all our users still can enjoy some service on that part. Like we emphasize on digital, but still the fraud right now, we have the identity digital fraud on that part right now. Previously, we also report on that part. So this make us was very big challenge on that part. This is for us.
Well, really, really interesting. You know what? 3 people, 3 different answers. All right. So we have kind of first kind of with Robert we have mentality, of course, which then echoes Stuart what you said, but we got mentality from Robert. Jack is around the data. Eric, you're talking about actually, if I can paraphrase you talk about the environment. The environment is changing so quickly in the speed and the nature, the predictability that becomes something you can't deal with, right? So I think it's really interesting to kind of then see these different key challenge areas, of course, all of which are important. And so what I want to maybe then explore, tapping on top of that, is also something I think, Stuart, you started the discussion with at the very beginning, which is around the fact that we need to go from single silos now to collaboration across an ecosystem, because after all, this is a systemic problem. And of course, it is not only just technology, but is there a need in this new age of change to collaborate beyond just the technology, collaborate beyond just simple silos, whether that is regulatory bodies, institutions, banks themselves, service providers, solution and technology providers. I mean, and when addressing the systemic broad issue, what are you seeing maybe as both the challenges, maybe opportunities of creating a better system of defense that has resiliency in there, including kind of better customer experience? How do you think in terms of collaborating within an ecosystem, kind of what are the opportunities there and perhaps the challenges that you're seeing collaborating beyond just the technology? Who wants to dive in that one? Stuart, you want to go? You teased it off in the very beginning. Maybe you kind of bring it around and take us into the going beyond the silos discussion.
Sure. And I mean, I'll just make a quick comment in response to some of the data stuff as well. I mean, I think sometimes I'm asked if I went back in time 10 years as a supervisor, what would you do? What would you do differently? And I would making a lot more recommendations around data environments, data quality. That said, in most of the projects that I've been involved in, and we've worked quite closely with colleagues from DBS, because you're right, they have been prepared to share, and they're one of many banks, a few leading banks that are prepared to share that knowledge. And what we've seen, not all data has the same value. And when we look at financial crime, sometimes I've gone from a position where data quality, data environment. But what we've been able to see is use cases where banks with attention to what is the quality of data, what's the use case. So when you look at mule account activity, what are the particular data points that are important to the use case that you're trying to solve? So it's a kind of more nuanced discussion. Going to that idea about greater collaboration. A couple of points I would make. I think there's collaboration kind of tactically in terms of information sharing. We've got some good platforms going on already in Hong Kong. What we've got to look at there is cross-sectoral and about making sure that we have the broader ecosystem, because we see risk displacement. We see it move into whether it's SVF, we see a lot anecdotally globally around crypto and looking for other ways into the system where the surveillance might not be as strong. And then the second thing is, of course, is cross-border, which is a bigger challenge in itself. But of course, these global fraud syndicates don't respect borders. So while we're making inroads to partnerships locally, at the moment there are quite a number of efforts to try and connect those across border. So I think that's the big thing. There is significant sharing in terms of know-how amongst banks, and I think that's good. But I think we've still got more to do, and we're trying to do that. And then the final point I would make is that there are significant developments in terms of some of the centralized approaches. So on the police side, looking at their data analytics platform. On our side, we've just finished the design phase of a payment data analytics platform, and there's going to be significant opportunities for institutions to collaborate in the development of that to break down that silo approach. Thanks.
Let me just maybe also just tap into your first comment where you started, because you said a number of things around data again. And you said that there is lots of sharing of general know-how, right? But are you also saying that the next step is then more sharing on the data side? And of course, data being of different value, but are you saying in some ways that's maybe the next step? And of course, sharing of data even within an organization is difficult. Is that what you were kind of trying to get to?
Yeah, so I mean, institutions are already sharing data, tactical data. So we're talking about entity level, where the law enforcement bring that into in the fraud and money laundering intelligence task force. But we've also got FINIS, where we've been able to enact bank-to-bank information sharing.
Right.
And this serves two purposes. I mean, on one hand, there's a threshold where there's a risk of financial crime, but there's also an ability within that for a bank and institution to ask. So I can ask you, well, you can see something about your customer. And the idea of that is really about reducing friction, reducing RFIs, and cutting out some of that noise in the system, particularly in corporates. So that has another element to it. The early days, but we're seeing significant growth in the confidence and the ability to do that. And of course, within the legislation, we provided the necessary safe harbor safeguards to do that for institutions. So it is an important area. Yes, thanks.
That's really good. Let's continue that topic with our three other panelists. And I think maybe you can kind of answer the question of, kind of collaborating across the ecosystem kind of broadly, or maybe you could even react to our current discussion, which is kind of your viewpoint on the sharing of data as a foundation for this one and how easy or difficult that might be. Who wants to share next?
Yes, Robert.
Robert, please go ahead.
I think to me, I think regulators have a very critical role here, because even as say professional firms, or if we discuss with the different clients, we know some things in the market. Because of the privacy, how can we go ahead to talk to the regulators, or even to, right, because this is a financial crime, how from the disclosures, from the privacy, we can't do anything immediately. So I think how we can have a standardized data formats that can reduce the legal frictions that currently stop many institutions from sharing. I think law enforcement also needs faster feedback loops, so that the intelligence can get it in the investigations can be returned to the industries in a usable form. I think this is a very, very important that how can the institutions and the professional parties within the legal framework, within the existing one, can do more things to share with the industries without being the leakage of something very, very important. I think the goal here is that the goal is not unrestricted the data leaks. It is a high quality, actionable intelligence that reaches the right people. I think this is my sharing.
So we also need a fuller legal framework to actually enable that type of sharing, right? On this type of sensitive, I think very often kind of maybe type of data that's not the type that you would then share very broadly, right? So kind of that, having that in place as an important foundation for this.
Yes, Daniel, you make a very good point. You said the forward legal framework that we need to look ahead, because we know what is happening now, but even if we know, we still need to wait the time to do that. So I think we need to do that, right?
Absolutely. Eric, Jack, do you have any comments on this particular topic and things to share?
Thanks. I think I quite similar to the Robert said, means that all parties like regulators, institutions, technology providers, or the law firm need to maybe share some intelligence in some secure or maybe the structured way on sharing the data, because some aims is we need to share faster and to add faster on that part, but still need to maybe in the principle is to minimize the data sharing principle on that part, and also have access control. Also need to have some compliance with the privacy on that part. So this is some framework or some protocol we need to define structurally on that part. Actually, for EMPF, I think we also have this kind of experience, because we already have some fraud detection on that part. We share the data together with the Hong Kong Police Force, with PCPD, also DPO on that part. We have a data exchange on that part. What the thinking is, we think that we need to build some trust channel before that, define something, rather than we have an ad hoc exchange on that part. We have an ad hoc exchange on the instant on that part, then this is difficult for us to do this kind of collaboration. This is my thinking.
Right, really good point. Jack, what's your view in terms of this topic around cross stakeholder type of collaboration and the things that are most important there?
I think how we can we can think that how we can set up the co-owned platforms to share the data, like using blockchains, more secure way to share the intelligence. And also, I think similar to the speaker before, I think the legal or regulatory is quite important to share the data.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, I think, we're at time, and I would love to spend even more time with all of you. I think it's so difficult to get experts from all these different areas together in one place to have a discussion, but nonetheless, we're at time. So what we'll do is we'll do a final lightning round. We'll do a final lightning round with each one of you. I would say lightning round 1 minute, okay? And the 1 minute point would really be this question, right? So if there is one thing that Hong Kong could do, single most important thing, to make Hong Kong a safer, more trusted digital financial ecosystem. If there's one thing, what would you say would be that? Who wants to kind of go on the lightning round and be the first one to kind of give that one action? Who wants to go ahead? Stuart, do you want to go? Since you opened us up, call on you, but
sure. Well, I mean,
quick lightning round and then kind of
okay.
in terms of the single Most
Okay,
important.
I mean, lightning round. I mean, I think first of all, I would probably premise this with the fact that, you know, we don't believe there's a silver bullet that's going to work for anything.
True.
What we've seen so far, there's no single thing. So I think the thing at the moment that the Hong Kong Monetary Authority are pursuing, as I said, payment data analytics, working with a cross-sectoral group to implement this. We've just finished the design phase, so we're going to go into the build phase, and that the idea of that is to give risk characteristics to institutions to help them make decisions on payments, to help balance this threat of fraud. That's something that we want to implement over the next couple of years. So that's a single thing that we think at the moment where we're focusing some of our efforts. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's not a single thing. It's multiple things connected. That's really great. Great lightning round. Who's next?
Yes, let me first.
Go?
Yes, I really agree. Yes, there's no single thing. So I use the word combining. Maybe combining trusted digital identity, combining with some shared intelligence and data, secure data, and some governance framework. This kind, I think I will use this word combining this kind of things, and equally important. And I hope this will protect is not only the user and also protect the innovation in Hong Kong. That's my word. Yeah, thank you.
Also not a single thing. Who wants to go next?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, John.
I think one word, collaborations.
Yeah.
It's quite important. No matter it's regulatories or banking or other sectors, it's quite important, including the sharing of the so-called fraud data. So this one could help, and also create more similar like here to share the techniques.
We'd be happy to do it. Next time in person.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Robert, you have the final word.
I think to me, I think I will use this as a alone. Right? Alone. Every people is mentioned already, because I think that no single organizations can defend the system alone. I think Hong Kong as an IFC, I think should what Daniel already mentioned, should prioritize a very clear forward legal and operational framework that enables rapid and privacy-preserving information shared between the financial institutions, platform, and the law enforcement. I think this is very important.
I mean, thank you for all of you for such crisp lightning round takeaway. My takeaway from four of you here is collaborate and combine is the thing to take away. And so with that, I want to once again thank you for your time, all of our keynote speakers, our panelists here. I want to thank, on behalf of ASTRI, all of you who have dialed in to participate in our webinar today. I would say at the right point, we'll make this back into a physical world, because I think, at least from my perspective, a lot of these discussions are really the best in person. So once again, I want to thank all of you. I want to then bring it to a wrap and wish all of you a wonderful rest of day, a wonderful weekend.